was Roscoe Anthony White? According to his son, Midlander Rickie White, he was one of several gunmen who took part in the assassination of President Kennedy in 1963. Rickie says he learned of his father's involvement after reading it in his father's diary. Reverend Jack Shaw of Dallas says he recalls visiting with Roscoe and his wife Geneva on several occasions, and that Roscoe talked about serving in the Marines and working for the Dallas Police Department.
Reverend Shaw says he began to learn even more about Roscoe's identity after Geneva told him about a trip she had taken to New Orleans. She said that a man approached her claiming he knew about Roscoe's involvement in the assassination, and to tell Roscoe he had 48 hours to get in touch and respond. Geneva flew directly home to warn her husband and was very upset. That's when Roscoe called Reverend Shaw and asked that he come to their home right away.
Geneva said you were called to our home because I had requested Roscoe to bring you over, and I'd asked Roscoe to tell you everything, and he could not bring himself to tell you, and the reason he couldn't was for fear of your life.
But Shaw says what Roscoe did tell him was enough to spark anyone's curiosity. That Roscoe told of his background as a Marine and as a Dallas police officer. And that wasn't all.
As he talked about being a policeman, he talked about wearing a wig and disguising himself. The way I was picking it up is for undercover purposes, and I don't know. I mean, that was the impression that I got. I had no idea what he was doing, had done with the police force, but he sure let me know that he was doing more than just normal police business. And he showed me some pictures that were very intriguing. And I don't want to talk about who they were, but I've seen a picture of him with some top government officials, and I could not understand that.
Are they still alive today?
At least, yes, I say at least one of them is.
Shaw says he doesn't know if Roscoe was connected to the CIA, but that he has counseled with many people who are.
Yes, I would say there was some ambiguity about the things he was saying that did cause questions in my mind. But you have to remember that I was much younger than I am now, and I didn't have the experiences that I have today. You know, it was a strange thing at his funeral. There were a lot of people there that I couldn't imagine Roscoe being acquainted, knowing the people. But
your father died in 1971.
It was in 1971, and it was at M&M Equipment Company in Dallas, Texas. And he'd gone across the street for a break, had went over there with another gentleman, Dick Adair. And when they had returned back to the work area, he had reached down to pick up a torch to fire it off. And then somebody had came in and cut the subline hoses where the bottom part of the floor was filling up with subline. And the fire just igniting, starting the fire. There was a gas can placed up underneath the bench, which was the secondary fire, which engulfed him.
Roscoe was taken to Parkland Hospital's burn unit, where he lived for about 24 hours, and Reverend Jack Shaw was with him when he died.
He said that this wasn't an accident. He had come back from either break or lunch, and that he had seen someone leaving the building. And it seemed like he said they were dressed in a suit and had a briefcase. I got the impression he knew who it was, but he did not identify that person to me.
Shaw says before Roscoe died, he cleared his conscience for taking lives on foreign and American soil, which is documented at the JFK Assassination Information Center in Dallas.
This is Roscoe White's death certificate. He died September 24th, 1971. After the fire, which he was burned over 95% of his body with third-degree burns. On his deathbed, he told his pastor, Reverend Jack Shaw, that he killed many people on foreign and domestic soil for his country. At the time, he thought it was right, but now he knows it was wrong. Oh, God, forgive me. And the man died.
Roscoe Anthony White was buried in the Field of Honor at Wrestling Memorial Cemetery in Dallas.
I will tell you this, and this is the first time that I've said this to anyone publicly, and that's that I was contacted by a person stating that the information I have would be very important. And there was money available to pay me if I would turn the information over to them, no questions asked. And to that person, I said, that kind of sounds like a setup to me. The person who approached me said that the person that I was to contact had been with the FBI, but was no longer with them.
If you decided to do this?
If I decided to take them up on this offer. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My answer to him was, if there's a, if there is a, if there's anyone has any interest of silencing me, let's short circuit all of this, and if there's any money to be made, go ahead and take a contract and put me to sleep and be my friend and get it done. There was silence on the other end of the telephone.
Tomorrow night at 10, our series of exclusive reports continues. You'll hear how the House Select Committee learned of Roscoe White's possible involvement in the Kennedy assassination as early as 1978, but didn't follow up on it. That's tomorrow night on The Update.